study neuroscience and medicine in Germany. Here our dear guests, thank you very much always for your time and for joining the webinar. And of course, my German university, which is organizer of this webinar. This is Germany's largest study program database, which means that if you want to study anything in Germany, feel free to narrow down your search using our study finder, which is very user-friendly, has lots of filters, and you can find all the available programs here. Check out also our articles. I know the topic of medicine is also another big thing. So we have articles about studying medicine, but in a different direction also in our articles section. And we have all the different articles that could be interesting for internationals. Specifically, for example, they address questions like scholarship, visa, application modes, and so on. The articles are also translated into different languages. That could be nice for you in case you want to read it in your native language. And of course, our webinars. We have approximately 200 webinars per year and two groups of webinars, so to say, subject webinars, as you're attending today, where luckily we have guest speakers from the universities. And then we have general webinars such as scholarship, Unionsist visa, Chancencard, blocked account, and much more. And we are also working on more webinars to share with you. This is our team. We are based in Hamburg, Germany, and we are counseling in different languages and always happy to share our suggestions on how you can study and live in Germany. Now, as I already mentioned, our study finder, I want to once again showcase, in case of neuroscience and medicine, how you can find the program. So if you filter for subjects, you can select two subjects in this case and adjust filter with English or English-German or English and German course and apply lots of filters. Here's a breakdown menu, which provides much more insight. And then you have search result of 9 bachelor's, 124 masters. So probably you want to again narrow down research if you're going for master's program, and that's where our study finder jumps in and you can always narrow down. For example, you already have your IELTS TOEFL test course available and you are specifically searching for programs that are accepting this one. You can always sort programs according to, I don't know, that application deadline or location or some other filters, and this way this could be even easier for you to make a decision. Check out also our subject pages. We provide subject pages for all subjects, and they provide description of the subject in general, tuition fees, application admission requirements, but we always ask you and advise to check each university and study program profile individually. And this is the reason why we also host the subject webinars to show once again that you should not generalize even application deadlines or program structure. All programs are very different and unique, even within the same university. Really briefly about the universities in Germany. Beforehand, saying that if you want to know about historic differences, we also have an article about it. But what I want to mention today is that usually study programs offered by universities are more research theory oriented. Universities of applied sciences have more application practice oriented programs. But going back to my previous slide, each program is different. Therefore, there could be exceptions on both sides. What is important to always make sure that you meet the qualification requirement of the program. Even in the subject webinars, we frequently have questions like, I graduated from this, do I qualify? So it's always defined by a program what previous degree you need, what kind of additional background knowledge maybe, and language requirements. So once you know that you meet this requirement, then you go ahead and check over the application documents and maybe start preparation for the application and further studies in Germany. All right, as promised, with this, the technical part is done, because I'd like to give the mic to Professor Dr. Carmen Willmann, who will be talking about Translational Neuroscience Master of Science Study Program from Würzburg.
I would like to start. So welcome everybody, and thanks for your interest in our program, which is Translational Neuroscience. It's a master program. It's an international master program, which is at the moment financed by the Elite Network Bavaria. And the title I've chosen is From Vision to Translation, because we had a vision when we initialized this program, and that has to do something with how can we translate our findings in basic science to the clinics. The program is, I'm the speaker of this program, and Manuel Nagel, who is also here, is the coordinator of this program. That just that you know already what his purpose is, and he may also answer the questions that you have. So our vision was that interdisciplinary knowledge and thinking creates a better basis to understand and develop novel therapies for complex neurological, but also complex neuropsychiatric diseases, as we believe that there are a lot of open questions in terms of understanding, but also in terms of therapy. And our program is very well embedded in the interdisciplinary research in Würzburg, which goes back to a large research consortia in 2001 to 2020, which were about the pathomechanisms of neurological diseases, and then another research consortium about anxiety and fear. And we have local, national, and international programs where Würzburg is well embedded, and our students are having the opportunity to be part of these local, national, or international programs. However, the Würzburg University, or especially our medical faculty, has meanwhile a lot of novel initiated research consortia where students from our program continued as PhD students, such as Resolve Pain or Retune, which is an SFB together with Berlin, or biofabrication, or here a graduate school about approach and avoidance. So what we are meaning with this interdisciplinary research is that we want to resemble a bridge between molecular, cellular, and systematic neurosciences, and also then go towards the clinical application. Interdisciplinary, however, is not only the research in Würzburg, how also our students that come to us come from very different perspectives. And that was also something we really wanted to have. So we would like to have students with a bachelor, for instance, in psychology, or having a human medicine degree, or a bachelor in biology or biotechnology. And we want to train them for the development of novel diagnostic tools and therapies of systemic diseases, such as, for instance, motor disease, pain, anxiety, or emotional diseases. So the coursework, or the translation, we have in our program. So we start with the training in molecular and cellular techniques. We make students aware of what kind of model organisms we can use for different purposes in our lectures and seminars. If it's possible, we introduce also patients to the students, for instance, in the neurology department, in the pain clinic, and if possible, also in the psychiatry department. And students are also trained for what is at the moment available in terms of diagnostics and therapy, and where are the open questions, and what will be the challenge in the future. So since our program exists, it exists now since 10 years, we have an increasing number of applications, and people are joining the program from all continents, more or less. We had here a big drop down last year, so you may ask why that. We used another application process, which our university forced, so applicants had to apply and pay money for that. So that dropped down the application numbers really dramatically. So we went back to the normal process, and I will tell you in a minute how this works. The application is a 3-step process. So we do not have a defined number of places where students can join the program. We really look if we think the student has really the opportunity and the power to continue and also to finish the program. So we have always an online application period between January and March, so quite early in the year where students can apply for the next winter term, which starts usually in October. And first we have an evaluation of the grades of the bachelor. Also there is a language requirement. All these informations you can also find at our homepage. If then the evaluation is positive, you will get an invitation for an online exam where we really ask basic questions about life sciences and also basic neurobiology. And if the exam is passed, then the third step is an online interview in front of 3 lecturers from the program where you will present a scientific project. We will discuss this scientifically, and that will be followed by a general discussion. And then afterwards, the acceptance. So the master is a 2-year master, so 4 semesters. We do not have for everybody a fast track option, although within the 10 years, I think a couple of students are finished after 1.5 years. However, we also have sideline studies, which I think is not what at every university is available. So we also have the option for human medicine students of our university after the first state exam, so erster Abschnitt ärztliche Prüfung, to join our program. And they can take courses which they can finish with a certificate. Usually, as human medicine is quite an intensive study program, the students will take a little longer, so we expect them 6 semesters to get their ECTS full, and then they get a certificate, because you have to have a first degree. So after the 3rd state exam, you can directly then join the master program and then finish with the thesis and the defense, also the degree of Master of Science. Our program, as I said, we have 4 semesters. So we have in the first semester's first 2 are mainly coursework. Everything that's shown in blue here is mandatory courses. So we have always a lecture and a seminar coupled in neurobiology, neurology, neurosurgery, biopsychology, and psychiatric neurosciences. We have a course in methods in neurosciences where students go to very different institutes here all over Würzburg. So you meet a lot of lecturers, a lot of supervisors, a lot of different techniques that you can learn. And we have a course in biostatistics, which we thought is necessary because due to the huge data evaluation that we have nowadays, it's important that everybody is aware of how to analyze the data. And then we have a first lab rotation after the first semester where people are mainly learning 2 or 3 independent methods in the lab, which is roughly 3 weeks. The green subjects here, these are electives that you can choose from a list. Some of the electives are offered in winter, some are offered in summer. And of course, you can also do electives here in the 3rd semester, but we recommend that you do it in the 1st year because then you have much more freedom in the 3rd and 4th semester for lab rotations, which you can do here in Würzburg, which you can do at other places in Germany, in Europe, or even abroad. The important point is that we have always a supervisor here from the university because other countries are not allowed to give grades for a German university. They can just give a recommendation. And in the 4th semester, you're usually doing your master thesis and the colloquium. So coming to the electives, so maybe if you concentrate now just on the green part, because the blue is again the mandatory ones, the lab rotations. The electives are optical methods, pain, functional imaging, regeneration, or ion channels, RNA, pathomechanisms. So you can choose whatever is of your interest and go for that courses. And what you see on the right-hand side here in purple, these are so-called, we call it soft skills. So there are also other modules offered like project design, even also project development, or if you participate actively at a conference with a poster or talk, that is also something where we can give credits for. Our program is really based on a lot of intensive lab work, hands-on work, which we have this consecutive arrow here. So we start with the method course where you're going to different labs, and then you join one lab for a 3-week lab rotation. You can also participate in a course called project development. So how to design really a scientific project, what kind of open questions do we have, how do we want to answer them. And then lab rotation 2 and 3 are longer, 4 and 6 weeks, which is then followed by the thesis. And during all this coursework, we also offer student research assistant jobs, which is very welcome by the students, because then you have more chances to get into the research in some of the chosen labs. This is just a slide to show you that the lab rotations, that's really what we do, that we send or offer people the chance to go abroad for lab rotations, which is also an important point. I think if you think of networking in research, which is very important. So people went to UK, Denmark, Sweden, even to Australia, but also a lot of people stay at some other places in Germany, depending on their interests, and we really promote and help them to find labs where they can follow their interests. We also have expert lectures, so students are invited to join our expert lectures. So we invite via Zoom speakers from Erasmus partner universities or from other cities in Bavaria, to also make the students aware of that in other locations in Bavaria, what kind of research are they doing. At the moment, we have here Pantipa Suvanakot. She's joining our university for 8 weeks as a guest researcher, and they really have fun. This is she doing bioprinting in the lab. She also gave a talk to the students, and here just the announcement for September from Moses Chow from New York, and also Rapave will give a talk in end of September coming from Australia. And I think very special at the end, I would like to mention that we organize autumn schools every year. So this is not done by me or by Manuel, it's done by the students. So they're forming an organization team. We just give them guidance how to organize a conference, which I think is a very great experience for students. They design the logos of the conference. They invite the speakers. They're even the chairs of the session. So they ask the questions. We have a poster session there, and you can see we always have a lot of fun every year. It's a kind of work. However, I think all the students were really happy in the end to have this experience before they finish with their master. So where do the students continue? We looked a little bit into our statistics, and I think we can be really proud that 84% of our students are doing a PhD afterwards. 12% are going to pharmaceutical industry or public service. From those 84%, almost half of them stay locally due to our research consortia, where we offer PhD positions, but also, and these are just a few examples, where people went after the master to do their PhD. Here is a little summary of students from the first cohort. So Michael was one of the first cohort. He finished then in 2017, I think this is wrong. So he went first to industry, and interestingly then he came back to university, did his PhD afterwards, and now he is again back to industry. So he made kind of a circle for where he came back and finished first the PhD, because I think it helps if you go to industry if you have a PhD as well. And Christina went to Switzerland. Danielle went to Australia. She is finishing at the moment. So I was the reviewer of her thesis, so we still kept in contact. And Judith went to 𝘗𝘢𝘪𝘥. So the aim of the program is to bring together bachelor students from very different bachelor perspectives. We train them for a career at national or international offices, research institute, universities, but also for industry or consulting institutions. And this is here the aim. So from molecular, cellular, via networks, model organisms, contact with patients, which I think is really important, that people really have seen patients with a disease where you are doing research on. And then you can much better develop novel creative ideas for therapy. And by that, I would like to thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Willmann, for the input, and thank you very much, Dr. Nagel, for taking the Q&A questions. Can I, before we go on, I wanted to ask you about the new application process. Do you want to mention it now, or do you want to take it during the Q&A?
I mean, it's quite quickly answered because we had the drop in applications, you mean, right? So the drop in what we have changed then. So the drop happened because our university made us use UniAssist.
VPD, I think.
The VPD, exactly. And we just abolished it again. So the people don't need a VPD. They do not have to pay for that to UniAssist. And so they can directly load or upload all the things we need for evaluation of the application directly in our application portal without doing a detour via any other assistance company or whatever.
I know you were quite involved in the presentation, and I also saw questions. So in case you want to have the program page as well, the link is in chat, and how to contact the team is also there. Now, less further ado, let's give the mic to Clara Burger, who will be talking about Master Science Integrative Oncology program from University Jena.
My name is Clara Burger, and I will present to you our master program Integrative Oncology. And this is a part-time postgraduate course at the University of Jena. So it's a quite different structure or aim than the study program you heard before. So the most important thing is that we are a part-time course and we are a postgraduate course. So we aim at students who already have a work experience and also have a degree with which they work in their field or with which they work in the field of oncology. Our whole program is online. We just have one final weekend at the end of the program here in Jena, where we meet and discuss the master thesis. We are a Master of Science program with 60 ECTS. And for admission requirement, you need a first university degree with 240 ECTS. If you have less, so if you have only a bachelor's with 180, then you can also apply, but you need additional information on your motivation and other qualifications that give you an equal qualification then to a whole 240 ECTS. Yeah, so if you don't have that much ECTS, then you can always contact us, and then we can discuss if the qualifications you have are sufficient for our program. You also need a minimum of 1 year work experience in the field of oncology. So it is necessary that you have met patients with cancer, that you have an experience how the field works, how disease works, what are the problems that the patients have to deal with, because in integrative oncology, it's about how you can help patients to increase their life quality. The duration of the program is 3 semesters. I will talk about that later on a bit more. We have 2 semesters with input by our lecturers with 2 modules each, and then we have the 3rd semester with the master thesis. We start in the winter semester that is coming right now. You can still apply. It starts in October 2025, but we also start the summer semester in 2026 if it's too early for you right now. You can study our program in German and in English. So if you have a sufficient German level, then you can also study in German, but we also provide the course in English. As we are a postgraduate course, you have to pay for our course. It's 4,300 euros per semester. And there's also a small pro rata semester contribution for the university. The money flows directly into the structure of the course. So that's how we pay our lecturers, how we pay my position as a study coordinator. So that's a unique point of our study program. As an international student, you have to pay the free rates are 4,300 euros in advance. That is a thing that we cannot change because it is a legal requirement by our university. So this is an important thing to have in mind, that you have to pay a lot of money in advance. So if you have questions around that, you can always contact us, and we will always help you with that. Our target group are all professionals with a first university degree in healthcare, and especially in the oncology field. So if you have a first degree in medicine, psychology, pharmaceutics, nutrition, sport, health and nursing science, occupational or physical therapy, you can all apply to our master program, because the program is about the interprofessional collaboration of the different professions to ensure the life quality of cancer patients. So now I come to the key aspects of our program. We want to help students get a view of modern, patient-oriented and scientific-based understanding of integrative oncology. So we are not teaching you alternative medicines, we are teaching evidence-based integrative oncology. In the modules, you will discuss interprofessionally and critical complementary medicines and nutrition, and also physical activity in the field of oncology. So when it is necessary for patients, when is it useful, what are indicators for these interventions, what are contraindicators. And we always discuss it interprofessionally and critical and based on current evidence. We also discuss the challenges and chances of interprofessional work in oncology, and you can always feel that in the group discussions when the different professions talk about their experience with patients. We have a great emphasis on communication with patients, and we always focus on the lay setting and the lay-oriented language. And we try to teach students how they can communicate cost and risk of different interventions to their patients. And we want to increase the knowledge of evidence-based integrative oncology in our students, so they can increase the quality of life of their patients. We have 4 modules with their main lecturer, which are presented here. The first module is complementary medicine, which is taught by Professor 𝘱𝘢𝘱𝘀, who is also the coordinator of the whole program. And this module focuses on evidence-based complementary medicine. So what is an evidence-based intervention to help oncology patients? Next module is nutrition. So this is all about the discussion of, is there a right diet for cancer? What is the whole topic of cancer diets? Is there evidence? It's not. But what is the evidence-based role of nutrition in the treatment of cancer? And how can you use it in different disease situations like the palliative care context? But also we have a great emphasis here on prevention and rehabilitation. Similar to that, the module physical exercise focuses on supportive therapy through physical exercise, physical activity, and here is also discussed the evidence for the role of physical activity in prevention and rehabilitation, but also what are indicators and contraindicators for physical activity during treatment. And the fourth and final module focuses on the communicative aspects in cancer treatment. And this module is all focused about the increase of self-efficacy in patients. So these are the 4 modules with their main lecturer, but we always have some guest lecturers who talk about their field of expertise in the specific module. So for example, in nutrition, we have a guest lecturer who talks about malnutrition in cancer patients and how you can intervene to prevent malnutrition. Yeah, so our structure is like that. I already talked about that. We have 3 semesters. We start each semester with an online week where you get to know each other, where you talk about with each other, where you get to know the background of each student and also of the lecturers. Then you get an introduction in the 2 modules of the semester. So in the first semester, that is complementary medicine and nutrition. So you get the first glance. What are these modules about? You have the first group tasks to discuss topics. And you also get a background in scientific work. So we always talk about methods and evidence-based medicine. What is that and what is necessary for that? this is the first semester. The second semester has a similar structure. We always again start with an online week to have an introduction in the 2 modules, physical exercise and integrative oncology. And throughout the 2 semesters, you have 6 seminars in each of the modules. So 12 seminars per semester, and then each module concludes with an exam. And in the 3rd semester, you have the master thesis. You can write in one of the modules of your choosing, and with a topic that maybe stems from your own professional experience, what you have found is important in the support of cancer patients in cancer treatment. And then you can find a master topic with one of the module supervisors. Yeah, so this is the structure, and all of this is online via Zoom, so in a similar surrounding like that, but we can each see each other. Just the final weekend will be in Jena, or it's usually in Jena, where we can meet each other and discuss all the master topics and have like a final weekend to conclude the masters. What are students? So I have some examples. The program is characterized by the interprofessional diversity of the students and the lecturers. And besides doctors and nurses, who are like the typical medical professions, we also have professionals from the field of nutrition, psychology, and sports science. And also in the current course, we have a lot of study nurses who coordinate studies in the field of oncology. So, for example, we have a specialist in radiotherapy with her own practice in the course right now. We also have an oncological nursing specialist who provides oncological nursing counseling in the clinic here in Germany and has a Bachelor of Science in Social Management with the focus of healthcare services, and also has a further training as a station manager, and now has with our course the next further training in integrative oncology. We also have a student who comes from the field of nutritional and is a nutritional therapist at a tumor center, and the professional background is a Bachelor of Science in Nutrition, and also has an experience as a pharmaceutical technical assistant. And also, as I mentioned, we have some study coordinators with us. So one student of us is a study coordinator in an oncology department and has a background in biomedical analysis. So as you can see, our students are very diverse and come from different professions, and we really aim to have this kind of a cohort because we have the experience that these different perspectives are very important in the treatment, in the holistic and treatment of cancer patients. So our application period is until the end of July this month. But if it is too early for you, we will also start a program in the next summer semester. So then the application period will go until the end of January 2026. So as I mentioned, you need the first university degree of 230 ECTS. If you have less, then you can send us a proof of a similar competence profile, like if you have further training, certificates, and also write a letter of motivation. You need 1 year of professional experience in the healthcare field and a language certificate with B2. And we have a detailed listing of all those informations on our website, so please look there. And if you have any questions, just write us. I already mentioned the costs because we have further training masters. It's 4,300 per semester and 12,900 for the whole program. And as international students who do not live in Germany, you have to pay these fees in advance. Some organizational aspects, as I already mentioned, we have 6 seminars per modules per semester. They are all online via Zoom every 3 weeks. Between the seminars, you have group work to prepare some presentations that are for the seminars, and there is a lot of self-study material via Moodle, so we have a lot of Moodle. If you want to have a look at the structure for the seminar, this is like our timetable for the next seminar. I had to cut it so that this is enough for one slide. This is kind of the rhythm in which we work, and that would be the program in the next winter semester. I already mentioned we work a lot via Moodle, so if you have a look at one of the Moodle courses of our the 2 seminars, then you have this looks like that, and if you click on one of the dates, like here, then you get further information on the group work and the slides of the seminar, what you have to prepare, and also further reading if you're interested in more. Each of the modules concludes with an exam, and they are all different, specific to the topic of the module, what is necessary, what are the competences that you should reach in the module. So we have online oral exams, we have online exams, and we also have an essay in module physical exercise. So thanks for your attention. Please look for further information on our website. There's everything detailedly listed, and you can always reach us with our via email at master-integrative-onkologie@uni-jena.de. So thanks for your attention, and I will look forward to your questions.
And give the mic to Dr. Benedikt Salmen, presenting Medical Neurosciences Master's Science Program from Charité, Berlin.
So thanks for the opportunity to present here and for giving me all this support. I'm Benedikt Salmen. Here's my address in case you want to contact me later on, but I'm sure Nino will put it in the chat anyhow, as I understood this. And I would like to talk about the Medical Neurosciences program, which is hosted at Charité in Berlin. This is a nice screenshot from Berlin, which I choose because it's a nice symbolization of a couple of things I want to talk about. So here you can actually see where the border of Berlin once was, with the famous bridge leading into Kreuzberg with the little towers, the so-called 𝘗𝘢𝘷𝘦𝘳𝘵𝘍𝑒𝑟𝑒𝑚, and just behind where it's green, there was a wall. And this is not just because it's a nice symbol for translational science, but also it has a couple of practical consequences for Berlin, because when Berlin was divided, both parts of the city made training and educational institutions. So there is a Free University, the Western University, there is a Humboldt University, the old one, which was accidentally located in the eastern part of Berlin. And as a result, there is actually quite a lot of neuroscience going on in Berlin, and quite a lot of institutes where you can profit from during your studies. And this sometimes leads also to a little bit of a challenge with such a vast offer being there, and I come to this a little bit later. It also means for interested students, Berlin is a very diverse city in terms of also how the different areas are. You can choose almost everything from super modern to like really 1870s, almost rural parts of Berlin, according to your lifestyle. So, but coming back to our program, the International Graduate Program Medical Neurosciences. So we have this 3 kind of words with which we define ourselves: intercultural, translational, and multidisciplinary. And this is a couple of different meanings. So intercultural, of course, the obvious is we do recruit people from many different cultures. We are very international in our students' body composition and also in our docents' composition. Also, we recruit very broad. So we recruit chemists, physicists, cognitive scientists, medical people, and so on. So everybody brings their own brand of scientific thinking, of scientific culture to our program. And this is, in my opinion, very much enriching us, different ways of thinking and approaching problems. We're also very much translational, meaning we are offering this bench-to-bedside approach to neurosciences, where you can do basic neuroscience, but also go into clinical applications, how neurosciences affect clinical treatments. Also sometimes the opposite way, how clinical findings actually strengthen our understanding or challenge and change our understanding of the conceptual framework of diseases. And yeah, it's a nice place also for somebody who is not yet determined in the career path whether they would like to be closer to the application, closer to the clinic, or rather be in the basic neuroscience. So it's a nice program to try out all of this and then afterwards make a more informed career choice for the PhD. And we are, of course, it comes already a little bit with the intercultural. We are very multidisciplinary. Our students actually can do anything which is related to neuroscience, provided it's offered in Berlin, from atomic scale microscopy to cognitive neuroscience to questionnaire to clinical studies and all the like. So this is, really a lot of offer for all. And it's important to note, because this is sometimes a bit misconceived, that the program is hosted at Charité, but our students can go for the lab rotations, the master thesis, to all major neuroscience institutions in Berlin. This includes the Charité, the 𝘗𝘢𝘪𝘥𝘷𝘦𝘳𝘴𝘪𝘈, the Free University, the Technical University, the Max-Delbrück Center, the Max Planck, and so on. So the whole academic landscape of Berlin is open to our master and also PhD students. They don't have to restrict themselves to this one alma mater, the Charité University Hospital. So, yeah, this is our website. As I said, we do go from bench to bedside. We offer training in both parts, close to the clinic. We do offer training close to general neuroscience, to basic neuroscience. Students can choose where they would like to specialize most. And we also do offer this three aspects of intercultural, translational, and interinstitutional training. We have a student handbook, which I would be happy to share with you on request. So you can just drop me an email, which has all the more nitty-gritty details of how to organize your studies, how to live in Berlin. I just want to mention it here. So those of you who are interested in that, just drop me a mail. And a few facts about our program. So it is a rather old master program. It was established in 2002, has received several awards. And as already said, it bridges the gap between bench and bedside, vice versa. And in Berlin, it is truly interinstitutional, meaning our students have access to all major academic institutions. It is interdisciplinary, going from molecular to cognitive, even philosophy from time to time. And we try to be very much giving you a good theoretical teaching as well as a very relevant practical training. And our focus is very much on research. I come to this in a couple of slides. A few details which are also always important for the organization. So we start in the winter term. It's a 2 years master with 120 ECTS being awarded after its completion. Part-time study is also possible. Degree requirements are relatively flexible. It should be 180 ECTS, and we take students from all kinds of natural sciences, psychology, medicine, everything which is relevant. So in case you are not sure, just drop me a mail. The whole program is entirely taught in English, and we also unfortunately charge a 2,500 euro tuition fee per term, but per semester. The program is organized in a way that we do have relatively intense and short, very concise theoretical parts, which you can see here in the lighter color. And then after that, students choose the lab they want to go to. And then we have a long time where there's no lectures, usually 2-3 months, where students can actually do their lab rotations. So they're really in a lab and can participate in research projects. The whole thing then ends in the term 4 with a master thesis as the biggest of all the research projects. How does our program look like? In detail, a bit more in detail, in the first term, we consider this a little bit the term where we bring everybody up to speed, where we bring everybody up to the same level of knowledge. We do teach the basic anatomy of the nervous system, neurophysiology. There's a recap on data and statistics for those who have not had that much in the bachelor's before, and also a course we call critical thinking and translational medicine, which is very much focused on the critical reception of primary literature. So this is usually a term where students find something rather familiar and some things rather new and challenging. But this is how it's intended to be. The second term then focuses in the academic teaching on neuropathyphysiology, networks, neuronal systems, and clinical neuroscience. So this is where the master's program really lives up to the expectations of having the medical neuroscience in its name. And the third term then is a bit a step away from learning about concepts and science. It's a term which is mainly dedicated to prepare for the master's thesis. So there is a lot of focus on scientific communication, how to make a poster, how to write a good scientific text, a thesis, a lab paper, and the likes. There is a module on experimental design, which is the planning and presentation of the master's thesis design and concept. And there is, connecting back to the first term, the critical thinking, a module which is called Advanced Problems and Topics in Neurosciences, which is essentially a moderated journal club in which students, again, should hone their abilities to critical review papers. And then in the fourth term, we have the master's thesis. Maybe you see it, maybe you don't. I'm actually wearing a suit, which is not very good at this weather, I find out, but I'm doing this because right after this talk, we will actually graduate some of our students who have finished their master's thesis already in summer. So fast tracking is also possible up to a certain degree. I mentioned at the very beginning that we are very much research oriented and practical, and you can see this here in this same depiction of the slides with a slightly different emphasis. So every one of the three first terms ends with a lab rotation. This is spending 4 to 6 weeks in the lab and really being part of a lab and of a research project. And also in the experimental design module, thinking about the experimental design of the thesis and maybe even doing some proof of concept or learning experiments there. And then the master's thesis itself. So in other words, more than half of our content is practical. Is being in the lab or being elsewhere, if it's a computer lab or a questionnaire or whatever, and actually working on the acquisition, interpretation, and communication of research data. Also, this is, of course, connected, but not completely one-on-one. More than half of our content is individual. So this also reflects the big the large possibilities our students have to go elsewhere, and also that we do recruit very broadly. So the 3 lab rotations and the master's thesis, of course, are individual. They go alongside the research interest of the student. We have an individual focus or elective part, which also is the theoretical individual training of the student, and we are relatively liberal there. We offer some from our program directly, but students are encouraged to look for their own classes and courses they find interesting and register them. And so more than half of our classes, more than half of our content is really tailored for the individual student, for his or her interests, and also very practical. So a few things which I think are very important. I said again at the beginning already that Berlin is big, a bit vast, and sometimes confusing because it's also located in many different parts of the city. So for those interested in checking out particularly the research being done, we recommend going to the webpage of the Einstein Center for Neurosciences in Berlin, or the newly refunded Cluster of Excellence NeuroCure. And so here, if you go to the Einstein webpage, you see this in the lower tier. You can actually find 140 PIs, which are not all PIs doing neuroscience in Berlin, but quite a few of them, sorted by their scientific focus with some automatic sorting functions. And one can directly go to the labs and find out what they're doing. So this is a really nice, very concise compendium of neuroscience, of relevant neuroscience being done locally, very helpful to our students. And as I said at the beginning, we're also very much encouraging our students to be independent, to work on themselves. We have 3 student projects. They're really a grassroots project, probably, which we are supporting. So one is a Scholar Minds. It's a couple of our master and PhD students and also postdocs now, which have their mission set on the mental well-being of junior researchers. We have a career development initiative, which also invites alumni and other people who reflect on their career paths, mistakes being made, lessons learned, etc. And they regularly give talks. And we have the CNS, the Charité Neuroscience newsletter, which is entirely run by our students. You can download it from our webpage. I'm always extremely impressed by the quality of the articles, even master and junior PhD students actually write. So this is all something to hone your skills also outside the science, and also kind of, if you want to apply elsewhere, have something like a portfolio to show for, particularly the CNS. And yeah, it's running for about 15 years. We're really, really impressed and proud of it, actually. Yeah. And when students join our program, we have actually a bit LinkedIn lookalike. We have networks for neuroscientists in Berlin. This also includes, of course, neuroscientists who once were in Berlin and have moved away. And so PIs, professors, students, and so on. And that actually, here is a screenshot, gives students the opportunity to look for a mentor. So here on the left side, so you see mentoring. They can organize themselves in groups, like for funding, for technical things like electrophysiology, microscopy, troubleshooting, and all these groups to exist. Every master cohort gets their own group where they can share experiences and talk to each other. And we also give them valuable material. And each of these groups is usually joined by selected master students from the senior cohort who tell them from their perspective what they need to take into account and take care of. So that's a really nice tool to make it easier to transition to another city. And yeah, so we also are on LinkedIn, of course. So in case you want to get more information on us, you can also just subscribe, and we try to post regularly. We also have an alumni advisory board, which also we regularly try to get their feedback to improve our courses. And we try to do questionnaires with our alumni on a regular basis, so we know what they find helpful in our program, what is maybe outdated, so we can implement it. And you can also look this up and look for our alumni advisor. It's actually a really nice thing. They usually meet, they come every 2-3 years, and then they give us so much work that we're busy for 2-3 years to implement it. Yeah. There is all kinds of help for everything about what students can do besides studying by the Studentenwerk. The application process, I'm a bit careful here. We have a new regulation set submitted to our faculty. So this may change. So just don't take this necessarily for 100% for granted. But it usually opens in end of November, beginning of December, with 15th of January being the deadline. We have a webpage for that. We usually have February, March interviews with the students which are shortlisted. There may or may not be a neuroscience test. This is a bit under debate right now. And around April, there is a final selection. After the final selection, we do make a credential check. We are obliged to do this, and we use UniAssist for that. But this is just for those students who already have an offer. So not everybody needs to go to UniAssist, not knowing that they will be accepted, which we also find is a very problematic thing, and asking students to pay for this. So those students who have to go through UniAssist are accepted in our program. So that is just for the application. And this is accidental, but actually next Monday, 15:30 or 3:30, we will have a town hall, a virtual one, where we also present our team in more detail. We have more time there. And also all the students will come and talk about our program. After some time, the office team and the coordination team will leave, and you can be alone with the senior students. And they can tell you then without any kind of restriction what they really think about us. And here is a QR code and the links where you can actually sign up for this particular event if you're interested in. And then we send you an MS Teams link to participate in the meeting. Okay, and with that being said, I'm leaving you with this really nice picture of Berlin. And can take your questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Salman, also for your input and all the details. I just wrote some of the links, LinkedIn and program links, of course. And I also wrote the upcoming, this virtual event info also in chat. So dear attendees, if you're interested, I think it's also worth joining and hearing more about the team in case you want to apply to this program. Wonderful. Thank you very much once again to all of you for the contribution. Great. Thank you very much. Yeah, so dear panelists, if you want, you all can be already unmuted as we take some questions. First of all of you mentioned, of course, the entry requirements and so on. Dr. Salman right now mentioned also in the interview. As a general question to all speakers, do you need extra exams? There was a question, do you need proof of lab works? Like, what can make the application stronger, or if there are additional things that people from outside of EU, let's say like this, need to present for being accepted? Professor Wiedemann or Dr. Nagel, we could start with you.
Should I? Yeah, so concerning for the lab experience, I think it's of course an advantage. However, it's not a must. What we're really looking for when people apply to our program, if they have done any kind of a bachelor thesis, because also that is not a requirement in every country. That of course is something which helps us also to see that people have an experience. And there was also a question in the chat from a psychology student, I think, because that's a very different kind of bachelor thesis, not really hands-on in a wet lab. So this is really not an essential requirement. So people can learn this. However, the program also offers all kinds of directions to stay more in the psychological, psychiatric, neuroscience, and they do not then work forever in a lab. So therefore, it's not a must for our program. Maybe the others should also have a chance to answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Clara,
yeah, so for our program, you don't need any lab experience. What is essential for us is that you have already a degree that it qualifies you to practice your profession, and that you can prove that you have some work experience. So you don't need to have years and years of work experience, but we need proof that you have experience with patients, that you know the field of oncology, and that you can participate with your experience in the discussions, that you also have some kind of experience with patients who come maybe with alternative medical approaches, and what is going on in the field, and what may be problems in the communication, so that you can draw from experience to the things that we teach, so that you know what is around there in alternative approaches, and that you can learn how to argument against them, and that you have a know what is an evidence-based approach instead, so that that is like the experience that we hope to see in our students, but we can you don't necessarily need years and years of experience. We wish for like a focus on scientific-based medicine. That is really important for us. So if you have experience in scientific work, that is helpful, but we try to teach you as well some competences in this field. And then for the study program, you need like the professional degree, the experience, and also the language certificate.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I can follow up with you, Clara. You mentioned that you need a degree that allows you to practice medicine in your country. Then this means that the work experience should necessarily be only after the graduation, because as far as I know, at least for some countries, you need to take some practice classes during your studies. And there may be somebody says,
you don't need to practice medicine. You can also be like a nutritionist or a psychologist, but you need to have the work experience after your degree. So if you just had like some practice hours as a part of your degree, that does not count as a work experience.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. This was important also. And Dr. Salman, what would you say.
Sorry, I was answering two things in the chat. Can you just briefly repeat the question?
Of course. The question was, maybe you also answered it, I didn't see it. Do you need any proven lab experience? There was somebody saying that it's a bit difficult to get some in his or her country. And also, do you need, you mentioned interview, but is there anything else that students need to provide to be accepted?
No, I mean the usual, the master's depends on the bachelor, of course. I mentioned ideally 180 ECTS to get the 300 needed for a PhD. But again, if somebody has a few ECTS less, he should just contact us directly. There is a case-based exceptional system possible here, with other courses being maybe making up for the missing ECTS. Lab experience would be important to us, but it's not completely mandatory. So we try to actually accommodate for differences in countries where people are coming from. And if you come from a big city with a lot of university labs and so on, it's of course easier to get lab experience and maybe even publications out than when you're coming from a smaller or poorer country. So we try. So we would like to have as much lab experience as possible. We try to look for motivation. So those who do not have lab experiences, but let's say did a lot of neuroscience courses on Coursera or data handling courses on or other kinds of MOOC. I don't want to now specifically single out Coursera, or can show that their motivation is high and they did make the best out of their circumstances, usually also have a good chance to get in. So we are very much aware of the fact that not everybody can do a neuroscience research project, for example. Some people have to do nutrition or herbal medicine or something like that, because this is just the only thing which is available in the places they are. Does this answer the question?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much. The next question was a PhD, which was already answered by Dr. Nagel. The question was, is it possible to do a PhD at your institution in the same field? And the answer from Dr. Nagel and Professor Willmann is yes. Professor Willmann also mentioned this in her presentation. And as an international student, I can also say that it's in Germany, PhD positions like work a bit differently. So it's not easier, maybe easier to already be a part of the university and institution and then continue with your PhD rather than applying from the abroad. Even though, Clara, your program is fully online, is it still possible to, if Jena provides some additional PhD possibilities for students?
So usually our students go back into practice. We have one student from our first year that wants to make a PhD. So we are at the medical faculty of the university. So you can do some kinds of the 𝘗𝘪𝘔 or stuff like that, or 𝘗𝘪𝘔. So we can support you with that. I'm not sure how it is organized in every kind of situation. So if you have interest in doing a PhD after with us or with like one of the professors in our program, please reach out to us so that we can prove it further. It's not that common, but we do also have PhD students in our working group.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And this is a question for Dr. Salman. Can one stay a bit longer at Charité?
I mean, a lot of our students actually do it. So PhD is possible. Again, you can stay in the medical neurosciences master program and transition to PhD. You can choose another program or another university. It depends largely on the preferences of your supervisor, which faculty they are closely associated with. For medical neuroscience and Charité, it is important to note that we can enroll you as a PhD, but we don't have PhD scholarships or funding. So it's just about the studies. However, quite often the PI just offers a PhD position when they have a position available in terms of monetary support, be it a Hausstelle, so something which is given to the PI by the university, or be it some third-party funding like an SFP, a GRK, or something like this given to the PI. And we do not accept students in our program which don't have funding. So to avoid that people need to make their PhD kind of in their free time and drive a taxi at night to just make up for living. So in our program, you can just join when you have a program, when you have a project and the PI says, I'm funding this particular student for the duration of the PhD.
Thank you so much. Another technical question is about the applications, because like program-related questions I see were already answered in written. Since all of your programs have a direct application and you're using portals, university portals, the question is, do you need translations? It says certified copies of application documents, but maybe I would add on that. Do you need to applicants to convert their GPAs, convert their ECTS, or they need to submit as they have with translated copies, of course, and then you are doing it, or should they prepare everything in advance, especially with GPA, because it's different from, as you know, like for many countries, 1.0 could be a disaster, unlike Germany. So yeah, what is your regulation in this regard? And maybe students can also check on with you in advance, or yeah, how would the process usually works? Maybe Dr. Nagel?
Yeah, so for us, it means that you have your original documents, and we need definitely a translation either into English or German, so any other language will not be accepted. And there was also a question for certified copies, which means yes, unfortunately. So they have to be certified, and they also have to be, if they had been translated, it had to be translated by someone official. Right, so either by the university or a lawyer or what's so forth, a self-translated version will not be accepted, not even for the online application. So yes, we need certified copies, but we don't need them in paper. So it's everything online. You can load up, or you can upload all of the documents, scans, or so forth. We just need to have the stamps on it and proof of authorities on that scan. Yeah. So that's in the GPA and all the ECTS stuff. That's what I'm doing when the online application arrives. I'm then converting. It doesn't help if people converting the applicants, because we have to do it ourselves. That's one of the regulations here at the university, that we do not accept GPAs calculated by an applicant. So we have to do that by ourselves.
Thank you. Clara?
For us, it's the same with the requirement that are certified copies. And it should, most of applicants, and that is like the best thing, because like we only have our team sees the applications in the second step, not in the first step. So the first step are people at the university in the application office. I think they need the information what your grade is like in a German grade. So if that is on the translation of the certificate, that would be great. If it's not there, you just write it and we work around it, but it's always helpful if the information is there. And all the other stuff about the requirement of the certificate translation is the same as for Würzburg.
Yeah, and just adding to Clara's, so the grading scale you should always send along with your transcript. If it's not mentioned on the transcript, and then we calculate it based on the official information of the university you have to provide.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Dr. Stallman?
Yeah, so for the documents, the same as the first time I said, it needs to be, we do English and German documents, of course. Everything else needs to be translated officially. If there's a time problem, people can approach us. Usually we can work our way around when there's a signature of an official translator missing or so. As long as it's not everybody is doing it, we can do that. But however, this needs to be solved till the next step of the application then. So it's not like when on the deadline, one document certification is missing, you're automatically out. You just upload it right in the comment section. Please have or write one of the team. That's possible. We have a web page in which students have to hand in their GPA in a field, and they also have to give the lower and the upper border, so the best GPA and the lowest, and then from there the system calculates a numerical GPA, And then when we make the shortlist, we start to check that for plausibility and mistakes and so on. But for a first screening, we would rely on this self-reported GPA. And then there is internal conversion available for also countries who have a 10 but never hand it out, and countries who hand a 10 out, and countries where you can take exams multiple times, and countries where you can take them just once. So there are formulas in place for this, which the international office usually apply to make them more comparable. But for the first steps, self-report is okay.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Maybe a short note. So we also have a checklist on our homepage. So as soon as the online application is opened and the period starts, there's also a checklist that you can read through before you start the whole portal stuff, so that you are prepared in advance for all the documents you will need.
Great. Thank you so much.